You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Haristodoulou.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristodoulou, and today I am previewing the two games on Sunday, April 16th, the second round of matchups for the opening weekend of Season 2 for the USFL. My USFL fans, I want you to comment down below. Let me know, who do you think's coming out victorious? Any players that you expect to see maybe show up and show out and maybe surprise some people? Who do you think's going to be the stars of these next couple of games? All that, I would love all your thoughts and opinions, so make sure you fire away in that comment section down below. And if you have not already, make sure you check out my previews for today's games as well. Kickoff is at 4:30 today as the Showboats and the Philadelphia Stars get things rolling in Memphis, so you don't want to miss out on my picks and previews for that as well. But without further ado, let's dive right in. USFL Season 2 is here, and we got a couple of games on Sunday starting at noon o'clock, imagine that, 12 p.m. Eastern time, let's say that. Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in Memphis is hosting the Michigan Panthers and the Houston Gamblers. The Panthers are reportedly having Josh Love be quarterback one to get this season rolling here, and I'm going to credit USFL Shadow on Twitter for dropping that little piece of information. Reggie Corbin, their star running back, is also going to be back and was probably the only real thing that you could look at in terms of offensive production last year about this Michigan Panthers team and go, yeah, hopefully he ends up coming back next season, but he will be back, and I expect him to continue on with the just strength and ability he showed and some of that speed as well. I'm really excited to see him because this year I'm hoping that we don't see another quarterback carousel with the Michigan Panthers. Maybe they get a little more offensive stability in the passing game and things can open up even more for him. Because with how good they were on the ground last year in Michigan, imagine if they actually had a competent passing attack. I can only imagine just how good this Michigan Panthers could have actually been. As far as what I'll be keeping an eye on for this team, I'm really going to be watching the wide receiver room. Like I said, passing game last year, a little bit inept. You did not really have anyone that was too much of a star in terms of receivers for this team. So I'll be looking at that wide receiver room that includes guys like the 6'3" Joe Walker, AJ Richardson, Trey Quinn, who spent some time in the NFL and been through a handful of teams as well. So I'll be really looking at just that wide receiver room as a whole and looking forward to seeing who actually steps up and becomes that like number one guy, or maybe a really good guy inside the slot. Somebody that's reliable that hopefully Josh Love can find a good rhythm with and get things rolling in that passing game. But you're looking at a Panthers team that's under a new head coach, and that same thing goes for the Gamblers as well. And I think that winds up making this game a little bit of a more low-scoring affair because there's definitely going to be some growing pains, especially when we're considering spring football here. It's not like it's the NFL where you have a lot of dominant stars and players and a new coaching staff is coming in to kind of just, fit themselves into the equation here. You have a lot of unknown pieces, new guys coming in, a handful of guys that left from last season. So I expect this game to be a little bit more of like a grindy type of affair. I'd be shocked if it gets any crazy offensive production. I hope it does, but I'm expecting it to be a little bit more of a grind. As for the Gamblers, Kenji Bahar is getting the opportunity to lead the way for them this year. Their QB1, very athletic. I'm excited to see him get a real opportunity. He got thrown into some game action last year, and I just feel like Kenji Bahar never really got like the true opportunity to be the quarterback for this team. So going into Season 2 now, I'm happy that they opted to give him a real shot and see what we can get out of him. Mark Thompson, the running back, is also back, and I expect him to continue on and be that absolute workhorse that he was last season, averaging nearly 5 yards per carry. He'll be an absolute machine, and I'll be really curious to see if this defense can hold it together and do what they did last year, and that was force turnovers. It felt like multiple times a game. If there was anything you could count on last season, it was the Gamblers notching a couple of turnovers, whether it was through interceptions, forcing fumbles, you name it. The Gamblers were a team that were able to, despite all the offensive struggles they dealt with, hand the Birmingham Stallions their only loss last season, and it was thanks in part to just how good that defense was. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how well this unit does in year number 2 if they're able to keep it together. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see, but really looking forward to that. As for the final score for this game and who I think is going to come out the winner here, like I said, it's going to be a grind of a game. I don't expect this one to be the prettiest of the football games this weekend, but I'm somebody who really likes good defensive battles. And so for me, I enjoy that kind of stuff. Might not be, somebody who loves to see offense's favorite, but it is fun for me. I love to watch a good defense clamp down on some offenses. And with how good the Gamblers defense was last year, and the Panthers defense was pretty solid as well, I'll be looking to see a game end somewhere along the lines of like 17-13. And I think I'm going to go with the Panthers on this one here. Yes, a little bit of an upset, I would say, with how much the Panthers struggled last year, but I do like them a little bit more. I think that the Panthers were a team that, had they had a competent offense last year, they could have been a lot more competitive. And having somebody like Josh Love, who has already been there for a little bit and knows what's kind of going on, I'm really excited to see what they can do. And Reggie Corbin, like I said, was an absolute unit. And if the passing game can open things up for him, Panthers could be a tough team to handle going through the duration of this season. So give me the Panthers 17-13 and a tight, not necessarily prettiest of offensive games. Looking at the second matchup here, we have at 4:30 p.m. in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in Memphis. Is that correct? I might be wrong on that one here. All right, I knew that was wrong. I went ahead and double-checked that because I did not feel like that was correct. It's actually going to be held in Birmingham. So corrected on that one. It's in Birmingham. It's not in Memphis because the New Orleans Breakers home games are in Birmingham. So with the Breakers and the Maulers going head-to-head in this matchup here, there is a lot of fun things to look at in this matchup. We have ourselves the Breakers starting over at quarterback after losing Kyle Sloter to the XFL. They also lost star running back Jordan Ellis to retirement. So a lot of changing going on for the Breakers here. We have McLeod Bethel-Thompson, a guy who's found a lot of success in the CFL, and he also has spent some time in the NFL on various practice squads and as like a third-string quarterback. And then you also have the very young Akil Glass. We have a very interesting dynamic with how the Breakers could handle their quarterback situation. I'll be curious whether they opt for the experienced vet or the young guy. I really don't know what we'll see from them. I would, in my personal opinion, like to see Akil Glass. I look at the USFL as an opportunity league, and while McLeod Bethel-Thompson offers experience, I think it would be good for him to be able to stay behind Akil Glass and help guide him through the season. McLeod Bethel-Thompson is going to get paid regardless of whether he starts or not. So if you go with Akil Glass being tutored by Bethel-Thompson, I don't really think that's a bad combination. You also have the returning wide receivers in Jonathan Adams and Johnny Dixon, who basically just pierced holes into the hearts of defenses last year, especially Jonathan Adams. He felt like the USFL Davante Adams with how good he was in some of his contested catches. I'll be really looking forward to seeing just how this offense can handle some of their major losses and if they can kind of regroup and get things rolling again. Because the first half of the season, Breakers offense was awesome. Then Kyle Sloter got dealt with the groin injury, and it felt like he could just never really recover. As for the defensive side of the ball, there is some turnover here, but it's going to be led by linebacker Vontae Diggs. He was obviously on the team last year, and I want you guys to keep an eye on the defensive ends here. This is a group that's changed a little bit here, and you're looking at Henri St. Amour from Georgia Tech and Justice Reed from Virginia Tech, two guys that I think could make some noise if they get going early, especially Henri St. Amour. Coming from Georgia Tech, I really like his prospects as a pass rusher for this team. The Breakers started off the season last year really hot and then just kind of slowed down and became a very average team when it came to rushing the passer. So let's hope that we see a little more production from the defensive end group, and I'll be keeping an eye on these guys as the game rolls through. For the Pittsburgh Maulers, I mean, you had an absolute unit at defense and then just a completely stubborn philosophy on offense. Kirby Wilson wanted to run the football and run the football hard, and it felt like it got to the point where you were at the end of the season and it was, everyone knew what you were doing. They were stacking the box and you couldn't really pass the football, and it was just kind of It was a mess. It was a mess, to put it lightly. I'm really excited now with a new head coach and a lot of good-looking players coming in. You had the Maulers as the only team to pull in some of their draft prospects from this past USFL draft, the collegiate one they had. Reuben Foster is a massive signing for the linebacking corps over there on defense as well. You also have Madre London, who needs to get the football more, and wide receiver Bailey Gaither also coming back as well. I'll be really excited to see how this team does through the air. I think that if you have Madre London as your lead back, and it seems like James Morgan from FIU is going to be the quarterback one, that seems to be the consensus around people talking USFL. But if James Morgan's the quarterback, you have Bailey Gaither there to make his life easier, as Gaither was a really awesome wide receiver for the Maulers last year, despite their inconsistencies in the passing game. And you can find a solid rushing attack with Madre London. This team could be really fun to watch, and I have them pegged as like from worst to first. Maybe not necessarily first, but a team that could really turn things around and be fighting for a North title this year. So keep your eyes on the Maulers, but I do think they have a really good shot to be an aggressive and very good team this year if everything goes their way. As for who I think comes out the winner in this matchup here, I really feel like the Pittsburgh Maulers have a legitimate shot to pull off an upset here. I know that they are the underdogs for the championship. They're the underdogs in this game as well as far as betting odds look, but I really feel good about this Maulers team. I'm excited to see how some of their college draft picks do. I'm excited to see Reuben Foster, a really good linebacker in the NFL. He is coming off of an injury, but a really good linebacker when he was in the NFL before all of the things that have happened to him, unfortunately, kind of, shifted the direction of his career in a really negative way. And again, very unfortunate for him. But aside from that, he gets a real opportunity in front of the entire USFL fan base to show that he's still got it and put on some good tape for the NFL. I feel like there's a little bit of motivation in this Maulers team this year with some really good stars and hopefully a better offensive philosophy. Give me the Maulers. I think this game, not necessarily a higher scoring affair, but I'm going to take the Maulers 20-13. I think that it's, again, another tight one-score game, maybe a little more offense than we're seeing from the Panthers and the Gamblers, but I do like the prospects of the Maulers getting a victory somewhere within one score. So again, Maulers 20-13 feels like a very good possibility to me. But that is how I'm looking at day number 2, Sunday for the USFL's opening weekend. Again, USFL fans, let me know in the comment section down below. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Who comes out winners? Who stands up and shows off some talent you maybe weren't expecting to see? Who do you think starts at quarterback for the Breakers? I don't really think at this point of me recording this, I've seen anything as to who is going to be the starter. So I'll be interested to see how the quarterback situation gets handled. I personally would like Akil Glass to be the guy. I want him to get that opportunity while also being able to learn from Bethel Thompson behind him, but obviously it's ultimately up to the Breakers and what they decide to do. But let me know in the comment section down below. All that, any thoughts and opinions you have, I'd be happy to discuss with you all. But that is it for me. If you made it to the end of the video, I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on all of the USFL stuff we got coming your way this season. But I'll catch you all in another video. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.